Nice. Hello and welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with Legacy Death and Taxes. So, obviously I have put a lot of effort into Maverick recently, but Legacy Death and Taxes is the deck that I got into Legacy with. It's a deck that's taken a lot of hours out of my life, but a deck that I love coming back to and playing, and just trying out some new cards. So trying out Charming Prince in the main deck. Trying out things like Deafening Silence over Chalice of the Void, playing with Mirran Crusader again, which I really enjoy, especially against the Rise in Bug. Against the Bolt decks, it's not as great as it was, but you know, when it shines, it really shines. One thing that I am doing is only playing 22 lands, which is probably not something that I would advise to anyone, but I'm really just wanting to fit in more creatures, and hopefully the luck of the draw pays off. So playing with a pretty normal main board, having Palace Jailer, Sanctum Prelate, Charming Prince is kind of the fun of in the deck. 4 Flickerwisps, 2 Recruiters, the full Stoneforge Mystic package, of course. I'm a massive fan of Tomik, so I really like Tomik in the main deck. I think Tomik's great against the Delver decks, great against the Depths decks. And even against things like Miracles, to have a creature that you can protect with Karakas, and also just attack in the air is really nice. And then of course, just going back to 4 Mother Runes, I did have a split of Mothers and Givers, but I think that I'm not going to try to play around Plague Engineer in any way. I think Plague Engineer is just, you know, if it hits, it hits. It's not worth the downside of playing a Giver of Runes in the deck. So you know, if I was expecting a lot of Eldrazi, then maybe sure I might play some number of Giver Runes. I did play 2 and 2 at the Magic Fest last weekend, which had a bunch of Legacy side events and a Legacy top 8 championship, which was really good, and I actually really liked Giver of Runes. But I think online you just want the full 4. It's just so good right now, and yeah, I think that the ability for it to protect itself is just so much better than the downside of maybe playing against Plague Engineer and being hit by its -1/-1 effect. That's really it. A huge thank you to Card Hoarder, who sponsored this channel and allowed me to get the cards that I want. And of course to MTG Mate, who is an Australian online reseller of singles. So if you're in Australia, definitely check them out. You can get 5% off all your singles with the code DUGS. Let's go straight into a league. You can find this deck list, of course, in the sidebar, just on the Cardboard Live functionality. Really looking forward to this. Legacy League, play points is always nice. I know Daryl Ayers, I believe is his name, did really well with D&T recently in the challenge or the playoff. It was one of those, which is very cool. It's great to see D&T come back a little bit since the Ren banning, but of course Plague Engineer still is a pretty big beater, and something that you have to look out for. For some of the non-white decks, Plague Engineer is kind of like the Black Terminus, where it just wipes the board. And you don't really have a great way of going wide after it comes down. On the die roll against Bob's Bread, which is nice. And sadly, this just isn't a keepable hand. We don't have a wide source. We only have 1 land. And a bunch of 3-drops that aren't that great. Especially Flickerwisp without Vial. It's just not really where we want to be. So happy to mulligan this. And this is actually fine. So I think here I'm just going to bottom the sort of Fire and Ice, with hopefully a Thalia on turn 2. The sword's going to be a 4-drop, and I think Jitte is just going to be the more impactful card. If we really need Sword of Fire and Ice, we can get it with a Stoneforge Mystic later on. So happy to keep this and drop the Sword of Fire and Ice. Plains Pass. If my opponent plays something like a turn 1 Delver, I'm pretty happy to Swords and not play around Days, just so maybe a turn 2 Thalia can stick. Ancient Tomb is pretty good. Ancient Tomb here most likely going after... So the Sorcerer's Spyglass most likely going after Wasteland. But this is going to be pretty interesting. So I could keep up a sword for something like Thought-Knot Seer. or I can just play out on curve and play something like a Thalia, which I think is much better. Drawing the second Wasteland there is pretty brutal, but I don't mind it. It is another land, so we are going to be able to cast something like the Jitte next turn, which is nice. Unless our opponent here just has a Cloud Post. Okay. Super Maverick. Interesting. Karakas. Okay. So I think because Thought-Knot Seer is a card that I'm wanting to play around, I don't mind just playing the Jitte here and getting it on board, because a Thalia with Jitte can actually just attack into a Thought-Knot Seer and then kill it with the counters before normal damage. So I think we might just go Karakas into Jitte. I could also keep up Swords to Plowshares and Karakas for the Thalia, but I think using all my mana effectively is pretty nice. Ballista for 2 would be pretty good as well. We do have the Revoker, which is kind of nice, but another Spyglass is really nice, shutting down this most likely Umezawa's Jitte. And now this is interesting. So I think the Vial's not too late. So the first one named Wasteland, the second one named Jitte. And I think this Revoker is most likely going to name Walking Ballista. Because Swords to Plowshares is a great out for something like Endbringer. But then Planeswalkers as well are something to definitely consider. It's nice that this Thalia is pretty much hitting for 4 a turn with the Ancient Tomb. Yeah. Flicker would be really nice. So next turn if they play a Walking Ballista, we do have the option of returning Thalia first and then swordsing the Ballista when it resolves. So I don't mind just playing out this Aether Vial here. It is a little bit late to the party, but even getting a Vial on 2 would be really nice, especially to have this Revoker at instant speed. Chalice of the Void, okay. Well, that shuts off the sword. Which means if they have a Thought-Knot here, that's pretty good. So I think Flickerwisp here is definitely the best best chance we have. A Recruiter of the Guard wouldn't be too bad either. Of course. So here, unfortunately, we really just have to pass back with 2 swords in hand. Hey, the weird one. Thank you very much for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. So sadly, we can't even use our mana to equip Jitte. But we definitely have life as a resource, which is nice. So we can take a few hits from this Thought-Knot before we have to really start evaluating how we block. Khan's pretty good. Yeah, this is pretty close to GG. I think if they have liquid metal coating, interesting. So we can still tick this up. Classic. I feel like our opponent's just going to go for Mycosynth's Lattice here, but I guess they can just go for Mycosynth's Lattice. So really we should just save time and concede, but... Ah, Jaden, very cool. Chris and I, Chris was on our team playing, I believe, Grixis Delver, just did all the commentary for the Brisbane Legacy Championships, which you were in, so a big congrats as well for doing that. Wow, goal loss, okay. Did not think this was a goal loss deck. Washington or Western Australia, yeah, that's fair enough. So this is pretty interesting. Might as well take this up. Alright, we'll concede there. Sideboarding. I don't mind Council's Judgment, and I don't mind Leonin Relic-Warder. I don't mind taking out the 4 Mother of Runes. That's a pretty easy switch. I think Thalia can even be put down as a 3 of. Tomik's still okay, Revoker's still great. Path is an interesting one. If they're playing the goal loss version, then I don't mind an extra removal spell. Even though they're playing Chalice of the Void, we do have some pretty good answers to it in Flickerwisp, Leonin Relic-Warder, Council's Judgment post-board. Gideon's interesting. This is a pretty grindy matchup, so I don't mind Gideon. It also makes Walking Ballista and Endbringer just that little bit worse. I don't think Ballista is where we want to be. I think I'm pretty happy with this. Prelate on 4 seems okay. It stops the Karn package. It stops something like Chalice for 2. I'm assuming they're going to be playing something like Grim Monolith as well. I think we'll go ahead with this and see how we go. Sorcerer Spyglass there is so good. Turning off the Wastelands and the Jitte. This hand's sweet. We'll keep this. Turn 1 Vial, and then hopefully even a Wasteland on turn 2. Ayavugan, interesting. So I definitely still like Wastelanding this, even if I have a second one in hand, just to stop a turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer. I think his hand isn't that great against a turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer, especially without Stoneforge already down. Another Wisp. Might as well activate this. Do nothing. Definitely tick this up. Karakas, okay. So if I really wanted to play around Thought-Knot Seer, I could actually put in Stoneforge now and then just put in Umezawa's Jitte. However, what I can also do is just play Stoneforge if they do play a Thought-Knot Seer, and then actually get nothing, and then just use a Flickerwisp to flicker it. So I don't mind that. I think the high upside is getting Batterskull, and the low upside is just putting in Flickerwisp and getting nothing. But this is a really slow turn from my opponent. So unless they have something like Dismember, this Stoneforge Mystic for Batterskull is going to do pretty well. Oh, Ancient Tomb. Wow, okay. Ancient Tomb's kind of nice, because it allows us to actually cast this Gideon now. Which I don't mind. I think I just want to Flickerwisp out their land in each of my end steps. I think Gideon's just so good here. Make a dude. One really cool interaction with Gideon is that you can attack with Gideon, and then in your second main phase, you can return it to your hand with Karakas because it's a legendary creature, and then replay it and get it like another knight, which is pretty sweet. End step, I think I'll just do it in their upkeep. There's not like an instant speed that I really care about. Ooh, Grim Monolith, okay. I can attack for 11 next turn, which is pretty nice. I can also attack for 10 and just hold up Batterskull. Yeah, which is pretty nice. So I can actually hardcast a Flickerwisp to exile one and then put one in also. So this will definitely say no to. Path. Yeah, so we can... attack with everything. And now we can just play Flickerwisp. Exile this one. That's going to be fine. And then end step, it'll come back. I'm actually going to exile the Grim. And then here, we can take out another land. I think we just take out the Temple again. Okay. Sideboarding, I'm pretty happy just to go back with the same line. I don't think there's any changes that I want to make being on the draw. There's definitely consideration for the second Gideon. And maybe dropping something like a Thalia. But we are in a pretty tight build with just the 22 lands. I think Gideon's just that impactful that I'm happy to actually bring in the second one and drop the Thalia on the play. Sorry, on the draw. So we have that extra draw step to get an extra mana. So this hand is fine. It's got a nice curve. But it is a lot different if they play something like a turn 1 Chalice. I think we're pretty happy to keep it though. So this is interesting. This is where I can either cast a turn 1 Aether Vial or I can Wasteland my opponent. So what I'm looking for worst case is most likely next turn some sort of Soul Land into a Thought-Knot Seer. Which most likely takes the Gideon. I guess the Mirran Crusader does trade with a Thought-Knot Seer, but at the same time, if they're casting a Thought-Knot, then the Wasteland's going to be online, which is kind of nice. So I don't mind actually just going for planes here into Aether Vial. I think the earlier we get the Vial online as well, the better it's going to be. Especially now, even if my opponent plays something like a Sorcerer's Spyglass, it takes a turn off them, which is kind of nice. So this is what we kind of expected, the turn 2 Thought-Knot. Most likely taking the Gideon, although I can definitely see an area where they take... Interesting, the Flickerwisp. Well, Swords is a pretty great draw. So I think we Swords first just to see what we draw into. Okay, Flickerwisp. Now I'm pretty happy to go after the Eye, because it makes them really have to use the Cydia Traders and kind of Wasteland themselves. The one reason I might not want to do this is if I'm really scared of Sorcerer's Spyglass. They might just be happy to play a Spyglass and then play another land and maybe even cast something else. Floating 2, okay. Interesting, not wanting to get Wastelanded. Haha, okay. So Vial here definitely ticks up. Unless we draw a 2-drop, we haven't really got much this turn. I think the best draw is probably Rishadan Port. Part's pretty good as well. So we'll play a land. I think we'll act like we have something, and then we'll just pass back. Oof. Vesuva Copy Plains is not a great feeling. This is definitely going to 3. Batterskull, okay. Not really where we want to be. I think I'm happy to pass and then just upkeep Vial out one of their lands so they can't play something like a Thought-Knot Seer next turn. I could also put in the Prelate and name 2, because it stops Grim Monolith and also Sorcerer's Spyglass. I think Spyglass hitting the Vial is pretty massive. So I'm actually going to put in the Prelate and name 2. It also stops Chalice for 1, which is kind of nice, especially with this Path to Exile already in hand. Alright, so this Vial's definitely staying at 3. Hopefully draw a land. Tomik, not the worst. We'll attack first. Tomik does stop stage from copying anything else, which is kind of nice. Alright. Put in Tomik. I also have the option here of putting in a Flickerwisp off the Vial and flickering a Plains so that I can hold up Path to Exile. Ah, so they're going to copy Glimmerpost. Interesting. I guess in response, I could flicker it, but I don't think it's worth it. I think it's worth probably keeping this Flickerwisp around a little bit longer. So if I flicker the Glimmerpost in response, they can't actually... The target fizzles, of course. So now we have the thought of holding up Mirran Crusader and Flickerwisp, or putting in Flickerwisp now and just holding up Path to Exile. I definitely don't mind the hold up Path to Exile. I mean, if they play a Thought-Knot, I guess we still have a pretty good clock with 2 in the air and Mirran Crusader as a 4 of. But I think just in case we're gonna put in Flickerwisp here. And then we'll come back in our end step and we'll pass back. I think the Prelate just stopped them from casting something, which is kind of nice. This is definitely staying at 3. Karakas is nice. Karakas saves the Tomik if we need it. And now we just pass back. Our opponent also missed a land drop, which is pretty huge for a Eldrazi post player. Wow. Okay. Maybe just a hand of just massive cards or a bunch of 2-drops like Grim Monolith and Sorcerer's Spyglass. So nice to start off with a win there. DNC I think pretty favored against Eldrazi. There are starts where they can just sort of topple over you with sort of the turn 1 Chalice, turn 2 Thought Knot, turn 3 like Walking Ballista or Khan, or just really putting out big threats early on and protecting them with Chalice is pretty huge. Also things like Sorcerer's Spyglass protecting them from Wasteland or stopping something like an Aether Vial or a Jitte can be pretty good for my opponent. But yeah, it's nice to see D&T back in the spotlight, I guess. Ren definitely hit it pretty hard. Even though you do have main deck answers like Phyrexian Revoker, it just wasn't a great feeling to have to kind of lose a few creatures before you most likely got a Phyrexian Revoker online, and yeah, Ren just really also put a pretty big barrier between you and your opponent when it comes to like a Wasteland strategy from D&T. And even Rishadan Port, it was pretty hard to take your opponent off a color. This hand's fantastic. Turn 1 Aether Vial, turn 2 Port, turn 3 Thalia off the Aether Vial with Karakas up and also Port. I'm definitely going to keep this. Snow-covered island, okay. So, hopefully no Spell Pierce from my opponent. Okay. Alright. Classic. Alright. Back we go. So this looks like a Miracles list. Yeah, I'm used to playing against you, Dajesh. So I don't think this is a list that's going to be playing something like Days. So I'm not too scared about like playing out Thalia here. However, I do like playing Thalia turn 3 with Karakas up. So maybe I actually like just playing Mother of Runes here. I could also go for Stoneforge Mystic for Batterskull, which kind of demands an answer straight away, but so does the Mum. So this is actually pretty interesting. I think I'll definitely play... I can play the Port here, and then I can just play the Mum. I think getting Mum online is pretty fantastic as well. Especially if they are the deck with something like 3-drop to Fairy. Just stopping the ability for them to bounce as well. But sadly, Mum is looking to be impeded here by Swords to Plowshares. Alright. Brainstorm, okay. Brainstorm most likely means that they picked up some sort of fetch land. So they're most likely going to have their second drop, but they won't have something like Counterspell open, which is nice. So if my opponent does have another Swords to Plowshares, I'm pretty happy to play the Thalia first and then play the Karakas. I don't think the mana from Karakas is going to do anything, and it might lead my opponent to believe that, okay, I'll let the Thalia resolve because I have removal for it. Tropical Island, okay. Looks like an Oko. It is an Oko, okay. Turning this into an Elk. So the interesting thing here is that I can still return it with Karakas because it keeps its super type as a legendary creature. And seeing as they're tapped out, I actually don't mind this. I can even do something like attack for 3 at Oko, and then in my turn I can Flickerwisp the Thalia. which is pretty cool. So I don't mind that. What are the best legacy decks? I think the best legacy decks are the decks that people put a lot of time into learning. But saying that, Banned Miracles is pretty good right now. I think there's a lot of really good legacy decks, which is really, really nice. It really depends on the pilot. You know, you could say that Food Chain or Allurin aren't sort of the top tier legacy decks right now, but I think if you find the right player who's really committed a lot of time to the deck, then you know, they could go into a tournament and be very happy with a lot of matchups, even against some of the best decks of the format. But I think you'll always have something like Miracles or like a Delver deck, like Blue-Red Delver or Rug Delver. Alright, so let's attack first. Now we can play Wisp. Oh, they have no Force of Will, okay. And now we can replay Thalia, which is really nice. How much luck is there in Legacy? I think there's luck in every aspect of Magic, from drafting to, you know, the formats, to even like a sort of like casual competitive format like Legacy. Yeah, if you don't want luck, play chess. I know that in the Vice documentary they said that you know, the best chess player will always win the match, but the best player in a Magic match won't always win, and I think that's what makes it such a great game, especially when it comes to variants. Making a food, okay. I guess something here that I'm kind of worried about is maybe like Snapcaster into Swords to Plowshares. So a Wasteland here wouldn't be that bad, and we draw it. Okay. So at least Wasteland gives us some amount of information about what they have. And if it is Snapcaster into Swords to Plowshares, then we'll see what happens here. Icefang Codal, okay. Can't do much there. So this is interesting. I can attack with both creatures and make the Flickerwisp trade with the Icefang Codal most likely, which will bring Oko down to 2. Or I can just attack with the Thalia, most likely get rid of the Icefang Codal, and then play a Stoneforge Mystic. Or a Recruiter of the Guard and get something like Palace Jailer. I don't mind Recruiter because then we can still hold up Karakas. So in that case... meant to attack there. That's classic. That's a bit of a misclick that hopefully won't come back to bite us. Hey, iBuffo, welcome to the chat. Yeah, good to see Taxes getting one last run. I will, of course, still keep the deck around as like a lender deck. Interesting. So I could trade here with the Flickerwisp, but I think I have to keep the Flickerwisp back. If my plan is Palace Jailer next turn, and I take this Icefang Codal, if they have another one, I really need a flyer as a blocker, which sucks because the Oko also means that they can turn this into a non-flyer 3/3. I think we'll just let this slide. I really hope they don't ban basic planes. If anything, it should be snow planes that's getting taken out of the format. Okay, swords is actually a really nice draw. Force of negation. Okay. Well, I'm still pretty happy just sending all at Oko now. If they fetch here, they most likely have another Ice Fang, which would be pretty brutal, but... Gonna get sort of Fire and Ice. Interesting, they had one. Maybe they're playing around me having like Ancient Tomb Palace Jailer, but I need double white for that. Why is Reanimator never winning tournaments? It's a good question. I think because the hate for it is just so big in sideboards that it's quite hard to put together continuous wins where games 2 and 3 are just pretty unfavored for you. The other thing is variance. I think you know, Reanimator can have pretty high in variance. This is where Oko can be really rough because the tick up is pretty much what we're going to be dealing damage to it, so... Hey, Minifur, welcome to the stream. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? Our opponent has one card in hand. Wisp. I don't mind just going for Palace Jailer here. I could also Flickerwisp the Recruiter. Hey, I thought it was. Min, I hope you're doing well. Love your work. I love your latest... I believe your latest piece was the... I could definitely flicker the token as well. That's pretty nice. It was the blue-red player who did a piece on the MinMax blog. For anyone who's interested in... really just good content for Legacy. Definitely check out the minmaxblog.com. So here we do have options. So we have Palace Jailer, which is actually quite nice because we can Palace Jailer the food token, which can then be Flickerwisp the following turn, or we can take away the Ice Fang Coder, which can definitely attack in the air next turn to take the crown. So I don't mind playing it a little bit slow here and just going for Jailer and trying to get some card advantage going. So we'll definitely take the Ice Fang here. Yeah, I think. Even though the Oko goes up to 5, it's just... I really don't want my opponent getting the crown. But it's always a tough spot. Our Plains is actually a great draw. He is the Thief of Crowns, of course. Ha! So 2 cards in hand for my opponent. One's a land, which is pretty great for us. So here I can actually just take the 6, give them the crown, and then swing back and hopefully kill the Oko if they don't have something like a creature. But if they have something like a Supreme Verdict, it's pretty bad for us. So I think because it's getting to the late game, maybe I'm happy just putting a Thalia and Recruiter in front of each of them. And then I can actually Palace Jailer another with Flickerwisp. But I do want to kill one. I can flicker one. Like I don't mind this trading with one and then just exiling the other one. This is a little bit risky because they do run Supreme Verdict as well. So taking the crown and then verdicting the board is pretty good. Ah, they will get back the Icewind Codal as well though. That's rough. I think I should have just maybe thrown away the creatures. Because now they really draw 3 cards. One from the Ice Fang and one from the crown. So yeah, not bringing the Icewind Codal into the equation is pretty rough there. Because now my opponent's in a pretty good spot. Jitte is interesting. I do have the option of just going for Sword of Fire and Ice. I think here I just want to flicker the Jailer. Play Jitte. Oof. Okay. And here I'm pretty happy to get rid of the food token. Although, thinking about it, if they do make this Flickerwisp just a 3/3, the Ice Fang can come back in and get the crown. The Flickerwisp can also just trade with the 3/3 anyway, even as a 3/3 artifact. Ice Fang's rough. Yeah. This is one reason why I don't like Palace Jailer in this matchup as a specific, because the amount of flash creatures they have is just so good. I'm assuming they also run Snapcaster Mage. Wasteland doesn't do a whole lot here. Can try for Sword. So one thing I could have done there is just Wasteland the Fetch Land in response to the Brainstorm to take away the Shuffle effect and still have 2 mana around to equip. But if they have a counterspell for this, I'm just going to most likely concede. Pretty close. I guess we can attack them, attack Oko. Get the crown. Mirran's not the worst. Mirran's pretty hard for my opponent to deal with. So here we're just going to tap down the only forest they have. They do also have 3 minutes on us, so definitely have to start playing a little bit faster. I think we're to 6 here, there's not much we can do. Oof. Double Mirran, interesting. So maybe here I just attack the Teferi, but the Mirrans are really nice. I think we definitely get the crown. Snap Swords is pretty good. It does mean, though, that one won't be going towards these Mirrans, which is nice. Because you can just block the Palace Jailer, or they can just block the Palace Jailer and then Swords the Flickerwisp. Alright. I think I definitely care about the Teferi here. Just to get it off the board. Alright, we'll concede there. I think we're just going to fall behind too much. And we really need the time for games 2 and 3 if we hit it. Council's Judgment seems great. Walking Ballista is interesting. I think I'm pretty happy going down on the Tomiks. Charming Prince is fine. Prelate's fine. I think Palace Jail is actually not where I want to be in this matchup. I think I'd much rather... Walking Ballista seems actually pretty nice, especially if I can deal with some of their creatures. Everything else is pretty nice. I mean, the Mirran Crusader package is really good, especially with the Stoneforge Mystic package. This is just a straight 60 swap here. I still like Thalia on the play. So let's go ahead with this and just see how that goes. Maybe Gideons are worth it, but we'll see how we go with this, which actually seems like a great keep. Turn 1 Vial into turn 2 Rishadan Port's really nice. Always nice to force check and see that they don't have a force. Yeah, that's fair. It's always pretty tough. Even just thinking more about the like Palace Jailer and them getting back Icefang Codal was pretty huge, because then the extra card and the extra blocker are pretty good. Another Mum. So I don't mind just going Port here instead of hardcasting the Thalia, because we're going to be able to put it in off Vial next turn anyway. So I could put Mum in here and then tick up Thalia, but I think I just like hopefully drawing into a third land so I can hardcast the Mum and also keep up Port. Okay, well that's kind of nice. So I actually still just like going Thalia first. Now they can't force Mum. Play Mum. I could also play Jitte if I really wanted to, but I think tapping them out is probably better. Maybe not. Maybe just like hardcasting Jitte here is where I want to be. Them untapping with 3 mana isn't that much different to untapping with 2. It's really just trying to keep them off Oko the following turn. But it looks like they're just going to miss a land drop anyway. Okay. I'm going to keep Vial on 2 for now. And they're actually going to concede this game. Interesting. Maybe I don't mind Relic-Warder. I think that if I can... The issue is if they get rid of it, they draw another card off the Astrolabe, which is most likely going to be the highest priority of what I name. But having the Revokers as well, one for Oko, one for Astrolabe, isn't that bad as well. I don't even mind dropping a sword and then just bringing in this. As more of just a just in case. And you can just get them if they do plan their mana around an Astrolabe. Sadly not where we want to be. Even though it's a 3-lander, the Wastelands don't do much against this mana base. That's mostly basics. Not having a white source either is really rough. So I'm going to mulligan this. And I'm going to keep this. And I think it's the Ballista that we drop. Ballista I can find later on with a Recruiter of the Guard. And I think Phyrexian Revoker is going to be a pretty nice card to keep around. We also have the Swords to Plowshares for anything like an Iceman Codal, so... Snow-covered plains. Thalia. I'm just going to 6 their turn. I don't think there's a threat that we want as swords. Most likely, especially since they only have a plains in play. So here I can go after their Astrolabe, which I don't mind. But seeing that they have seeing that they only have 1 mana open, I could also just play Thalia here, which means if it resolves, they can't swords it in my end step. Yeah, Walking Ballista is actually not too bad. The one good thing about Walking Ballista is that if it gets turned into an elk, it still has the counters on it, making it bigger than a 3/3. Oh, Prelate. Prelate for 1 doesn't seem too bad. Hey, Jesus you. So here's an interesting one. I think I might attack first. Because if I do put in Prelate on 1, they most likely, if they have a Swords, will Swords Thalia in response, so I might as well get the damage in first. I think 1's just the best name here. Even if they want to Elk it, they have to tap out for Oko. Petty Theft. Did not think of Petty Theft. I believe he's just on ban, like, mid-range. I think just Prelate here is probably the best bet. I'm going to hold up a plains in case they get rid of Thalia. And maybe there's a line where I can swords. Supreme Verdict would be pretty good here. Swords cost 2, but it's if they like Icefang Codal in response, or like Swords the Thalia and have a creature there. There's a very like, I don't even know if there's a window there for it, but Judgment's interesting. I think here I'm happy just to go Revoker, name Astrolabe. Stoneforge Mystic. Probably go and get Batterskull. I could also see reasoning for sort of Fire and Ice, but I like Batterskull because we have the mana for it anyway as a hard cast, and it makes the Stoneforge Mystic a lot more of a threat. Interesting. Flickerwisp. I think I'm happy just tapping out for Batterskull here. I don't really want to attack into anything. Especially against a deck with Icefang Codals and Snapcaster Mage. Force pitching Snap. Okay. That's a bit better with only one card in hand. Just don't be Icefang. They can't block with Brazen Burrow because it can only block creatures with flying, I believe. Alright. Oko's pretty good. Yeah, not having the Vial is definitely a very different game. But at least here we do have an answer for Oko. And then here I'm pretty happy just to play Flickerwisp and probably flicker a white mana so I can hold up swords. Nothing else is great at flickering. I might even hold the swords for now, just to see a little bit more information from my opponent. Yeah, Blister would have been sweet. I guess I just didn't realize that I would kind of like draw into a land drop every turn. I think this is fine. So I'm pretty happy to keep this swords up for an Icefang Codal. Trigger on this stack, we might as well swords it. Just so they can't draw into something that, like, counter magic. But this is a race. This second planes is definitely better in my hand as an unknown. I think here we just try to take them off white. But yeah, Ballista would have been great. Buys me a bit of time. Rough. I think that's just game. I don't think we can get 2 blockers for these Astrolabes. Rough. So we are 1-1. But yeah, ban seems pretty strong. Hey, Jeremy Freeman, welcome to the channel. What's Florida like for Legacy? Do you have like a weekly event, a monthly event? Do you play Legacy yourself? This hand is okay. The double swords is interesting. It's pretty dead against combo, but the rest of the hand is pretty nice, especially with the Prelate and Sanctum and Recruiter. I'm gonna keep this. It's not a Vial hand, which is pretty big. We don't really have a great turn 1 play. Boggles. Oof. Okay. Did not expect Boggles. Another Swords is not where we want to be. I'm just going to go for White Soul's Pass. I think the best card in this matchup are most likely Council's Judgment and Leonin Relic-Warder. Curious Obsession, okay. We used to have a weekly Legacy FNM about 45 minutes from my house. When Pioneer announced an SCG removed Legacy from their tournament schedule. The bulk of the players sold out of Legacy for Pioneer. Now Legacy hasn't fired since Pioneer released. That's really sad. That's really sad to hear. Hey, hanging pretty well. We're currently 1-1, and now we're up against Boggles, which is, you know, it's cool to see it as in the Legacy format. Oof, don't Wasteland me. I did not expect Wasteland. Oh god. I guess for that reason I should have put Wasteland out first. At least the Boggle isn't that big right now. Hey, Shaman Exile. Thank you very much for the follow. Let me know where you're from, if you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. But yeah, it's tough that that Pioneer did take away some of your player base, Jerry, because it's obviously something that a lot of people were kind of worried about. It hasn't really happened here yet. I don't think Pioneer has really taken off in my hometown of Brisbane, but you know, maybe one day it'll be a little bit bigger. It does seem like a sweet format. I think I'd much rather get into it down the road. Hey, Cooldown Max. Thank you for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. Reanimator, Punishing Maverick, and Jank. Alright. Pretty slow clock from my opponent. Luckily for me, but I'm not too sure how good this is going. Is there a follow train? Is this what's happening? Because I'm a very happy man. A huge thank you to Alf the Lord. Very cool name. Let me know where you're from. My articles have helped you out a lot with Mav. That's great to hear. That's fantastic to hear. We don't have a white source, but we do have an Aether Vial. This is rough. Boggles are pretty tough for us. Okay, they're gonna... Invisible Stalker, interesting. I'm actually sitting here boxing up my Legacy collection. I'm hoping once Pioneer stops being the flavor of the month, I'll get to play again. I own the moving pieces of most of staple legacy decks from D&T lands, mono red, and the assorted brainstorm ponder forcible decks. That's very cool. That's really cool, Jeremy. I'm a big fan of people who have lender decks. I think lender decks are great for the format, and just kind of making sure that your local community also like knows that there's also a deck there for someone who might not have the money to get into Legacy but wants to try it out. Oof, I think we just conceded True Name, unfortunately. So this is going to be interesting. I think we take out the 4 swords, or at least 3 of them. Council's Judgment seems great. Leonin Relic-Warder seems great. I think that's it. I think that's really where we go. Goblins is a really fun deck to play, but it is a deck that definitely, I think it has the highest sort of skill cap for knowing the right line, because Goblins just has so many lines. I've played it a few times on stream, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Maybe I actually want a Ballista, just in case they do have some form of creatures that don't have hexproof, over the Swords to Plowshares. I think the Swords is really there for myself, and maybe to be able to... I think Palace Jailer can most likely come out. So I like this. I like the Walking Ballista just in case they do have some creatures that don't have hexproof. Would love to play first. And this hand really relies on the Aether Vial. And these 2 other cards are kind of dead. So I actually don't like keeping this. I'm going to mulligan this. This hand's a 1-lander, which is pretty rough. The Relic-Warder is kind of nice, and the Thalia with First Strike. So if we do draw a land, it's actually a great hand. So I don't mind keeping this and dropping the Phyrexian Revoker. It's always tough keeping a 1-lander, but I think this hand just has so much gas to it that if we do draw just 1 more land of any color, we're going to be pretty happy with ourselves. Mother of Runes, of course, great against Boggles as well, because without Trample, they're not going to be doing a whole lot outside of Invisible Stalker and True Name. Oof. Don't be Swords to Plowshares. It's a Part to Exile. Okay. We will use Part to Exile's ability. Not too bad. Ooh, Wasteland. What do I want to do here? I think I just want to go for Stoneforge Batterskull. This means next turn if we draw a land, we can play both Thalia and hold up Batterskull, which is nice. Here's the Bogle. Path. Okay. Well, we'll get another one. Interesting. So they're playing Path to Exile because they don't want to give us the life from Swords to Plowshares, so they rather have us rather give us the mana, which is pretty interesting. Ballista. So I don't mind just going for Thalia here and then Ballista for 1. Of course they play Karakas. Whew. I think here I just want to block and then destroy the Ballista. I don't want them to draw a card. Block. Ping. I actually don't mind Mirran here. I could also go for Relic-Warder. We definitely take care of the Karakas. The armor's just so good. I think we just play Relic-Warder and take the armor. It'll bring it down to a 2/2, which means it can trade with the Leonin Relic-Warder, which is kind of nice. So they really need at least one more piece of equip here. We'll see what they do with this Ponder. Please don't keep. Chose not to shuffle. Rough. That's not what I want to see. Another obsession. Okay. Maybe the Mirran is just better there because the Mirran is, of course, pro-green. Flickerwisp. I think we just go for Mirran here. Probably hold the Relic-Warder back because if they have a path to exile for the Mirran, I probably just want to block and chump. Doesn't feel great, but maybe I can't actually play around path. Maybe I actually just have to attack here. So yeah, maybe Mirran last turn was just the best play because they don't have trample. There's no way to get through the Mirran unless they have something that gives like protection from. I think like Little Teferi would be pretty badass here because they can actually just oof, bounce the Mirran. They have to attack or else they lose the Curious Obsessions. Interesting that they didn't ponder first to try to find a path to exile for the Mirran. Oof. All right. That's it's pretty good. Karakas. So we can actually block with Tomik and then return, which is kind of nice. So I don't mind that. So let's go to attacks. Attack with both. And now we can just play Tomik and have it as like a creature that can be Karakas back, which is nice. Block. And then before damage, return it. So it doesn't have trample, right? No. Awesome. True Name's pretty good. It will stop our attacks. Oof. Oh, wow. Okay. That's pretty good. Didn't think of that. Planes. So I guess we can play Tomik, Flickerwisp, and then flicker the Karakas. That doesn't seem too bad. But this is getting pretty hasty. We really need to start drawing into Council's Judgment, or we're just gonna be dead. I wonder if it feels worth even bringing in like Deafening Silence on the play. I don't think it is. I think they pretty much play at one enchantment a turn anyway. I guess it does slow them down a little bit. Interesting. They have like nearly a 2-turn clock if they attack with everything, so we'll definitely block here. And before damage, return it. Wasteland taking out Karakas is kind of nice. Planes. I wonder if the play is just to play Batterskull, attack with Flickerwisp, take the hit from Slippery Bogle, and then attack for lethal in the air. But then they just have they can attack with both creatures, of course. So we can't do that. Hey, Lackey, welcome to the channel. Yeah, this is tough. Trying to think of a way out of it, but I think we have to play probably Tomik so we can attack with Flickerwisp in the air just to keep the damage going. They also have no cards in hand, so we can close this. Batterskull doesn't do anything. I think it is just Tomik. I don't think we can cast Thalia. I mean, we can, but I think it hits us more because it means that if we draw into something like Sword of Fire and Ice, we can't cast it and equip in the same turn to like put on Mirran Crusader and just win. So if they have a removal spell for the Tomik, then we lose, but I think I'm happy just to keep applying at least some amount of damage. I mean, actually, if we play the Thalia here, next turn, we lose the Tomik to the Slippery Bogle, but next turn if we attack with all creatures, they block the Mirran Crusader being the biggest one and take 2, 4, 7. So maybe the play is to play Thalia and then hopefully fade a draw step, and then just attack for lethal next turn. Please be a land. Or maybe they see they can't actually... I guess it doesn't matter because either way... Oh, I guess if they keep back both creatures, they can take 6 and go to 1. Because they can block the Flickerwisp in the air and the Mirran with the True Name. Always tough. Pretty fun game. I kind of like playing against some of the more fringe decks of the format, like Boggles. Because there's definitely a lot to it. And yeah, they're just going to pass back, so a little win for us. The Curious Obsessions are now going to fall off, which is pretty big. Yeah! Planes! I guess we can cast Batterskull now. There's no reason not to. And now we just pass back. Because now we definitely have lethal on board if they don't have anything next turn. Not attacking there and losing the Curious Possessions was huge because it also makes the Ethereal Armors just so much worse. Wow, just a pass back. What can they have? Oh, Charming Prince. That's interesting. So if I attack for everything here, they block 4 and 4 and still take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But if they deal with the Flickerwisp, they pretty much just Hmm. They have 2 cards in hand. If they had removal, I assume they would use one when they attack. I can also just suit up the Tomik and swing in the air, which the Boggle doesn't kill, so I don't mind that. This is a little bit safer as well. Because now they have to block here. Do we make them have it? Or do we... I think we just attack with the Tomik. I think we played a little bit safe. We're still at 17 life, so... I don't mind this. I'm sure there's definitely players that would just all-out attack and make them have it. Which maybe I should... maybe that should be me. This isn't a lethal attack as well. That's the big thing. So they don't have to block here. Ooh, unless they know about Walking Ballista. It looks like they have a path to Exile. Oof, okay. That's a pretty big blowout. Because I believe now they get to put the Ethereal Armor back on a creature, which pumps them. Ugh. Does it I think it re-equips. Or does it just come into play as an enchantment, not a... Okay, but it still pumps. Oh, wow, okay. It definitely pumps. Yep. Ah, first strike doesn't even give us lifelink. Rough. Okay. That's a blowout. Whew. Can we beat Boggles? So they have lethal. We definitely have to block if they attack with both. No attacks. Interesting. Mum's a pretty nice draw. So we can go Mother of Runes. And then we can play Charming Prince. We do need Council's Judgment. I can also use Charming Prince here to either scry for Council's Judgment or flicker the Flickerwisp to then flicker the Batterskull. Scry 2 doesn't do anything until our next turn. Neither really does the Batterskull. Maybe Scry is just better. I think Scry is just better because we have the mana anyway just to equip a creature. Flickerwisp. I think we have to bottom. And then Flickerwisp probably isn't what we want to draw here. Bottom. Is a random card better than Flickerwisp? I think it is, because even like Stoneforge Mystic is pretty good for sort of Fire and Ice. I think its Mum is just so good, so bottom. And then there's no great attacks either. Going to combat. Attacking with both. Maybe even the gain life was relevant there, because then we can actually just take this, and we don't lose the flyer. But I feel like we can just block here, and then put the Batterskull on Mirran Crusader? What do they have? Nothing. Okay. I'm going to quickly go to the bathroom. I will be right back. Alright. Sideboarding's interesting. I don't think we need to sideboard anything else. Deafening Silence I don't think is good enough. I don't think we really want Deafening Silence. So I'm pretty happy just to run back what we already have. Yeah, let's just run this back. Let's just run this back. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Great hand. We need the other white for Council's Judgment, but double Stoneforge is really nice. We'll keep this. Ponder's nice, so I'd much rather see a turn 1 Ponder than a turn 1 Threat. Stoneforge. Playing the planes out because I don't want to get Wastelanded, even just off a land. I'd rather just make sure that I'm casting the Stoneforge next turn. Ooh, fetching. Wonder if this means Invisible Stalker time. It is, okay. Double Council Judgment. Let's go for Port and Stoneforge. Just gonna go for Batterskull here. Curious Obsession is pretty nice. Ugh. So is this. Interesting. Wasteland's pretty nice, even just putting us back a turn here. I think we just hold up Batterskull. It's a big creature. It does mean no True Names coming down this turn, which is really nice. All right. Do we draw a white source? Please. Oh no. All right. Let's adapt. We definitely attack. And then I think we just play another Stoneforge Mystic to get at least another card out of the deck that isn't a land. Rough. Another Ethereal Armor just does it. Daybreak Coronet? Oof. Alright. I guess we're taking 12. Oof. We have one draw step. One draw step and have to fade any amount of counter magic. This is my life right now. Can we do anything? I don't think we can. Unfortunately. That's Boggles. Rough. Yeah, 100% head in the hands. But yeah, congrats to my opponent. They obviously played pretty well. It's cool to see people try out Boggles in Legacy. Seems like a pretty hard deck to beat, especially if you have the counter magic of like Force of Negation and Force of Will. The Hexproof as well is just so good, and of course there with the Unblockable on Invisible Stalker, it's just so hard for FedEx to deal with. But we can still finish this as a 3-2, which would be pretty nice. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure if Boggles is good, but I mean, if you want to play it, there's definitely no reason you cannot play it. I mean, True Name with Curious Obsession is something that I've actually tried out in Rug before. I played a Rug Delver list with Curious Obsession, which was pretty fun because Curious Obsession also grows Goyf, where enchantment usually isn't seen in too many decks. But yeah, I've had some fun with it. I'm sure there's someone who can definitely 5-0 with Boggles. If you just have the right counter magic, I think you could even play Daze. I think you could probably play a deck with like Noble Hierarchs, Daze, Force of Will, and maybe even like a small. I guess you don't really need an equipment package because you have the enchantment package, but you'll play this in the Legacy Challenge tomorrow. Yeah, it'd be very cool to see what their list was. Because the True Names really help, especially against any fair decks. True Names can be pretty rough to play against. But yeah, it's always tough when you have the two answers in Council's Judgment in your hand, but you just don't get there with your mana sources, which actually is why Legacy is so great. You really have to rely on sometimes variance just being on your side. Alright, on the draw against Nyana B. This hand's sweet. Turn 1 Vial, turn 2 Port. We have a Thalia for the unfair decks. Mirran Crusader for the fair decks. We'll definitely keep this. Marsh Flats. Wonder if this is like Dead Guy Ale. If so, I'm pretty happy just to Wasteland here. Yeah. They did fetch for a duel though, so I'm not sure if maybe they actually just have land drops in hand, but that's actually, that's pretty funny. So now we can just go double planes, which is nice. And it also means they can't do something like Hinder Turak next turn, unless they play Urborg. Okay, that Wasteland looks like it worked out pretty well. Stoneforge is fine. Probably getting Batterskull here. I don't mind swordsing it. I played the Port as well because I don't mind my opponent going down on a mana to Wasteland me. I could have kept it in hand if I really wanted it. But I think here we just... I mean, the big question is as well, do we even care about Batterskull? Especially with the Mirran Crusader. Maybe we can just keep... I don't mind just playing Mirran here. Because if they want to keep up Batterskull, they have to really do nothing in their turn. And we still have the Swords to Plowshares, which is nice. I think best case is they play a fetch land, and they don't fetch. They try to Wasteland us, and then in response to the fetch land, we can actually do something. Oof, that's pretty big. Definitely attack with the Mirran. And then I think I just flicker the Mirran with Charming Prince. Hey, Sebastian8800. Thank you very much for the follow. Let me know where you're from, if you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. Swords. That's gonna be fine. Hey, Pulse Marasa, the best green card ever. Thank you very much for the follow. I don't mind double blocking here. Because we have the second Thalia as well. What's the Ancient Tomb in the sideboard for? That's interesting. The Ancient Tomb shouldn't be in the sideboard. Let me quickly check this list. Ancient Tomb's in the main deck. But the Ancient Tomb's really just for powering out some things. There's a few cool things you can do. So you can like cast a turn 1 Phyrexian Revoker. You can cast a turn 1 Aether Vial around days. There's definitely a few options for some pretty cool interactions. Even getting out like a turn 3 Palace Jailer. Oof. Oof. I'm happy to waste there instead of porting because they can react at instant speed with like Fatal Push or Swords to Plowshares. So here I don't mind just casting this straight up for 1. Just to really put my opponent behind a little bit more. And now this port's online, which is really nice. Karakas is great. Attack. Upkeep. Tap down this. Another sword. Oof. Can we do this? This might even just be a concession here. Alright. So this is going to be interesting. I like Gideon. I like Council's Judgment. I don't mind Walking Ballista as a removal spell. I think we can take out probably some number of Thalia. I don't mind keeping one in. Prelate's also interesting. Tomik still seems pretty great. Maybe like a Swords to Plowshares can come down for the Walking Ballista. Recruit of the Guard still seems great against a deck that has hand disruption in it, because then you can try to get back some of your card parity. Prelate still seems fine. Maybe it's something like just like a Flickerwisp. We did also see Stoneforge Mystic, so Leonin Relic-Warder seems great. Yeah, the Jail is always pretty interesting. Especially if this is a Dead Guy Ale deck. I might take it out because they're most likely playing something like Lingering Souls or Bitter Blossom. So Relic-Warder seems fantastic. The Gideon seem great just to be able to attack from a different angle and also make some of our creatures bigger than theirs. The Ballista seems nice, especially if they're playing something like Dark Confidant. Council's Judgment is great for enchantments, of course, artifacts like equipment, and any sort of planeswalkers they run, like Liliana. So I'm going to run this back. The last Thalia is interesting. Maybe just Swords to Plowshares is better. I think I'm pretty happy with this. I think if they land something like a turn 2 Bob, we really have to have that sword, so having the extra one in there is really nice. Sadly, this is a mulligan. The 2 equipment are pretty much dead. We don't have a white source, we only have 1 land, so we'll mulligan this. And I don't mind this hand, we'll keep this. And I'm just going to bottom probably the Port. You saw how well Wasteland did last game, so having the 2 basics is really nice to start off with, and then maybe start pressuring through Wasteland. So I'm going to bottom the Port. Hope my opponent knows they're going first. Okay, good. I mean, Vial here would be the best draw, but we're not going to get that. No Thoughtseize turn 1's pretty nice. This could be a deck with Himdatarak, so that's something to look out for. Can't do too much against Himdatarak. I mean, we could run something like Woodley Fleege, but I don't think that's where we're gonna. Yeah, we're not gonna play Woodley Fleege. Fetch once. Fetch twice. Him's pretty good. Sword. Let's go for Stoneforge Mystic. And I'm just gonna get Batterskull because I really want them to make sure they know that Stoneforge Mystic is going to be a threat and not just like an equipment fetcher. Equipment fetcher. It's like a New Zealander. Equipment fetcher. Equipment fetcher. Swords is pretty good. And now there's Bob. Okay. Rough. I think here we just name one of the Lilianas. I guess Jitte is also pretty good. And we're not really close to attacking with our own Jitte, so to stop the blowouts, we'll just name Jitte. Another Dark Confidant, okay. Last Hope would be pretty good here if they have that. Lingering Souls, okay. Definitely block this. The card advantage is just so strong. Rough. Yeah, I assume it's because they drew the second one, so maybe they didn't want to have both out. They're happy here just to maybe flashback Lingering Souls and play the second Dark Confidant. I guess now with Stoneforge they also get to go and get Jitte. Lingering Souls and Jitte are just so strong as well because I don't really want to waste a removal spell on just a Lingering Soul token. Pretty happy to block here and just hopefully play the second one. I'll still just like the Tomik here. Matsol, you are very close to the truth. Yeah, Maverick's been really fun. Even just full color like loam decks in general seem really fun right now. I'm seeing a lot of like greedy lists come out with like Oko and Liliana and Tarmogoyf. Just seems like a really fun spot to be playing in right now. No attack is really interesting. Not sure if that was just a misclick. Thoughtseize is fine. Can't do much there. Verdant with, okay. Okay. Wisp. Oh, interesting. We can wisp away the spirit. I don't mind getting aggressive either. I mean, we definitely trade here. There's no great way of not blocking and then trying to stay in the game. Can even flashback Lingering Souls here as well, which is pretty good. I don't think it's worth bringing in Rest in Peace though with just Lingering Souls. I don't believe they'd play any other like graveyard interaction spells. Plague Engineer, okay. It's definitely a card to think about. So maybe I should have actually brought in the 2 Path to Exiles as well. Unfortunate. Bring in Paths. Prelate's interesting. Maybe Prelate's just not where we want to be. Especially if we're bringing in Path and having the 4 swords. Naming 1 is most likely what I was going to do anyway. Can probably also just drop down on 1 Revoker. It's a pretty it's pretty similar what they play and what we play. Yeah, Jitte would have been pretty good as well. That's definitely fair enough. It just would have been pretty tough trying to get in with it, but yeah, there's definitely a world where Jitte there is pretty good. I think I'd much rather Stoneforge Mystic because one thing that I really want to nullify is her ability to stick a Dark Confidant and keep it around. And Jitte and sort of Fire and Ice are great ways to make sure that that doesn't happen. So I think I'm actually just going to drop a Revoker. The Tomiks are great against the Flyers and their Wasteland strategy. Ballista's great at even just a 1-for-1 with a Bob. So let's see how this goes. Hopefully well. I'd love to play the... This isn't the worst hand. The turn 2 Tomik's quite nice with a follow-up of Wasteland. We don't have a turn 1 play, which is probably the biggest issue with this hand. I think there are better 6s. I just really want an Aether Vial. Gideon's pretty good. It makes our creatures pretty big. It's great against Plague Engineer. So making all our humans X2s is pretty fantastic. And then even just as a way to keep putting out creatures every turn, Gideon's really nice. It might actually even force them to attack unfavorably with some of their creatures, which is awesome. I think because we don't have a turn 1 play, I'm on the incline to mulligan this. We've also seen our opponent go pretty aggressively for basics early on, so these Wastelands probably aren't as good as I originally thought they would be in this hand. I'm going to mulligan this, and we're going to try to get to... This is rough as well. We can definitely bottom a Karakas. It's nice to have the Swords to Plowshares, but I don't think we can go to 5 against a Dead Guy Ale deck. So we'll keep this and we'll bottom a Karakas. Player planes and pass. They might even just take the Stoneforge Mystic if their plan turn 2 is to just cast another removal, another hand disruption spell. I'm going to play the Wasteland because I really want to keep my second white source in my hand. Yeah, the plow is quite nice. Wasteland's pretty bad. Pretty good. Pretty bad for us because you have these 3 drops that we want to be casting. But Plains is a pretty nice pickup. I think we have to swords this if they go and get Batterskull, but if not, I'm happy just to Flickerwisp a land. Yeah. So I'm happy for them to have this. Unless they already have Batterskull in hand. So I'm always a big fan of keeping swords for when they actually like equip and swing. But if they have Batterskull, I guess we have Flickerwisp, which can answer the Germ. So I don't mind just... What not casting swords does here is pushes us towards casting Playing Karakas, casting Flickerwisp being a plains, and then it's holding up swords for their turn. Judgment's nice, but I think Flickerwisp is just better here. Even to get a creature on the board. I could also just swords here. With the Judgment, I kind of like just swords in here. I think just because of Batterskull being the biggest issue right now, I don't want to be like Wastelanded and then not draw the third land for a little while and kind of fall behind off that Wasteland. Souls is pretty good. Souls is quite annoying. Mum's pretty nice. I also like Recruiter. Recruiter for Stoneforge, most likely. But getting a Mum online as well is really nice. It doesn't make the most of my mana, but I think just getting the Mum online ASAP is a priority right now. They also don't know these two cards, so... Oof. Lingering Soul is just so hard to deal with because trying to answer it 1-for-1 is really tough. Happy to 1-for-1 the Judgment for the Dark Confidant. And then swing. Charming Prince is fine. I guess I get to scry. That's probably what they want to do here. Whoa. Just attacking with 1. That's cool. And a missed land drop, okay. Swords. I don't think I care about swords right now. I think I'm happy just to play Recruiter of the Guard and get another Flickerwisp. Inquisition's pretty good. Most likely taking the Flickerwisp here. The Swords isn't really great on this board, and I guess Mum's a little bit problematic if they don't have an answer, but with Plague Agent in the deck, Mum's definitely less of a threat. Take the Wisp, okay. Flashback Souls? Jitte, oof. Interesting. I don't mind just attacking with everything here. Play Mum. Play Plains. And then just pass back, sadly. This is where Gideon would be really nice, just to be able to be safe out of Plague Engineer's range as well. That Lingering Souls is always going to be an issue as well. Yeah, so I think the plan is to swords in combat, so they don't go use 2 mana to equip. If we swords then, they might then drop a 4th land and equip to a different creature. We then also get Mum online the following turn, which is really nice. But if they have something like a Thoughtseize first, then it's rough. So here we have to swords one thing, and I'm going to swords a spirit. And now if they have a land, it's pretty rough. They don't, which is great for us. So now the Mum's online, which is really nice. Vial's a little bit slow, but we'll definitely play it. And now we'll just pass back. These are just white as well, okay. Don't be Plague. Plague's really rough if they have it. Oh. I guess we give protection to Flickerwisp. Go pro white. Now we need some pretty big draws. Tomik isn't one of them, but it's not the worst. It means we can block something and then return it with Karakas, which is kind of cool. So we can block, and then before damage, return. Hopefully they don't have discard, and we can maybe get Vial on 2 and start a bit of a loop here. Oh no, this looks like a him. Or just Lingering Souls flashback. Okay, that's not too bad. Alright. Revoker. Okay, Revoker's quite nice. Revoker can name Jitte. Vindicate the Karakas. Okay. I think here I'm happy just to trade the Flickerwisp with the Charming Prince. The Flickerwisp isn't doing much else with the spirits on the board. And it also means that attacking with the spirits isn't that great because of the Tomik being a 1/2. I could have definitely saved Karakas there. That was just a misplay. That was literally just a mind blank. Pretty rough. Did not, yeah, that's a great pickup, Elf. That's rough. I'm just so used to Tomik being only like Wasteland, Port, mainly those two. And then like of course the depths matchup. I never really think of Vindicate on a land. Hey, Grizzle Brandon 1-3. Thank you for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? Push is pretty brutal. Push can just wipe my board. Definitely tick this up, especially if we have Recruiter in the deck. Okay. I don't mind Recruiter for Flickerwisp and just hold up Wisp. This means we can... Oh. The Plague Engineer, of course. Well, I still wanted to get the Wisp, so not too bad. From Southern California, and I rock the Maverick. Oh, very cool. What color Maverick are you currently into? I think we just flicker out the Jitte here. Just so they can't actually attack with it this turn. Currently Abzan, very cool. Charming Prince. I guess they can flicker the Plague Engineer here, that's pretty rough. We'll just concede. Oh, you play Red White Painter? Painter's a very sweet deck. I've seen a few versions online, especially Mono Blue. Plays like Narset, and I believe plays Echoes as well with LED, which is pretty cool. But yeah, Maverick is pretty good. I don't think we're coming back from this, sadly. On the play again. This hand's okay. The issue is the one white source is a wastelandable target, but we do have a pretty nice curve, even without Aether Vial, so I don't mind keeping this. Island. Astrolabe. Okay, I'm definitely playing Plains and then going Mum. Stifo Pile, Punishing Dak, Punishing Thieves. Yeah, those decks seem really fun. Dak Vaden doesn't really have a home in Legacy, but of course Punishing Dak is a deck that I'd love to see more people playing. See what the Ponder did. If they shuffled... Chose not to shuffle. Okay, so I assume they have a Swords to Plowshares here. Okay, interesting. Can I go for a second Ponder? Yeah, Dak in Grixis Tez Control seems pretty fun. Interesting. I think here I'm happy just to cast the Thalia. Even though we won't have Karakas available, we do have Mum, so I think Thalia is just the best card here. Of course. Did not think this was going to be a Terminus deck. Probably should have known that. Probably should have known that. I really put them on like a band control deck. Snow and Tell's a pretty good name. I like Snow and Tell. I'm just going to play Stoneforge and hold up white for Swords to Plowshares. Leaving up the Karakas because if they play back to basics, I want to kind of untap with this Plains. Port. I think I'm actually happy just casting Flickerwisp and then flickering one of my lands to keep up Port. But also put something into play to keep pressure on. Fetching in response, interesting. Snap Swords is fine. I don't mind that trade with just a Flickerwisp by itself. If they don't have another land, this Port keeps them off Jace, which is kind of nice, but it's a very small interaction. We do have the option of hardcasting Batterskull. We're not really doing anything else other than porting, which isn't too bad, but I think we just have to try to get some sort of pressure down. Even if this does get like Force and Negation, counterspell, okay. Rough. These games are just so much different without a turn 1 Vial. Especially against Miracles. That's a concession. There's definitely no way we're getting back from that. But luckily to the sideboard, we do have some cards. So I like Relic-Warder. I like Council's Judgment. I like Gideon. I don't mind Walking Ballista. I think we can take out some number of Swords to Plowshares, if not all Swords to Plowshares. And probably just like the 2 Mirrans. Everything else kind of has its slot. Tomik's still nice, it's just a creature that we can attack with and then also protect with Karakas. I'm pretty happy with this. I don't think it's worth bringing in any sort of graveyard hate, especially if they're only on Snapcaster Mage. There probably is some merit to playing Deafening Silence, but I think we'll just see how the sort of more control-y version with Gideons and Council's Judgments go, and hopefully get a game 3. Hope you guys are having a nice weekend. It's pretty nice and sunny here in Brisbane. Pretty warm, actually. I don't mind this hand. It doesn't have a Vial, but it's got a pretty solid creature base, and the Revokers for Astrolabe is just so strong, I think. So I'm pretty happy to keep this. Fire's a little bit late, but I do like just casting Thalia here. It means that if this gets countered, next turn if we draw a land, we can cast Vial and then either Thalia or Revoker. Alright. Nice. Kind of a bait spell as well. I'd probably rather this Aether Vial get countered more than a Thalia or a Revoker. We are playing into Brainstorm and Determinus, but I'm happy to keep at least just try to keep a little bit of pressure going. I think that fetch there gives away that they just want to Brainstorm here and then Terminus. Which isn't the worst. We get to untap and hardcast sort of Fire and Ice, which is kind of nice. Interesting, just a fetch. A blind Terminus? Oh, no. I thought I was in the clear. I thought I was in the clear. We were not in the clear. I mean, you can only really laugh it off. Terminus resolves. We put these creatures at the bottom of our library in any order. Yeah, blind Terminus is probably the actual worst. Planes. I wonder if it's better just to maybe tap down their white source this turn instead of playing this sort of Fire and Ice. I kind of like just using Port, especially when they don't have Astrolabe out yet. Yeah, Blind Terminus is up there with no cards in hand, draw a card, play Plague Engineer. I think that's probably where they come in pretty close. Containment Priest is pretty nice. Because we took out sort of Swords 2 Plowshares, I think our only out is most likely Walking Ballista or Palace Jailer. We'll tick it up. Jitte, interesting. I'm gonna go for Revoker. I'm gonna name Jace. And then I'm gonna hold up Port. Just to see if we can tap them off white in their turn. I don't really want to show that we have the Jitte yet. I'm gonna activate this. This can stay at 2 for now. Port. Could also go for sort of Fire and Ice here. I think Sword's probably the biggest payoff. I can also play a land to make sure they can't get it with Spell Pierce. Interesting. Maybe they have like Brazen Burrower? That would be pretty brutal. That's the only card I can think of with 3 blue up. Okay, we'll see if we can attack. I mean, they could bounce the sword and then take 2, or block, bounce the sword. Yeah, Vapor Snag would be... I think we can cut out Vapor Snag because of the equip, but just the block here is interesting. That's really nice. I'm really happy to get rid of that Containment Priest because Vial's just so good in this matchup. I'm going to activate this, see if they do anything. Looks like they don't, so... Vial can still stay at 2. Flickerwisp, okay. I don't mind playing a bit of a long game here and just double porting Ticking Vial up to 3, and then trying to Flickerwisp in the end step. Definitely want to use this now. Yeah, the big white one is just in case I don't want them to have swords open in my turn if I untap and want to cast a creature. Revoker. I think I'd rather just double tap this turn as well. I'm pretty happy just going ahead with this at the moment. So I'm pretty happy to tap down Snow-Covered Island. I guess I can. I guess I don't want to do this in the main phase and then have them like ponder into another white source to get rid of the Flickerwisp. So I'm just going to actually end my turn. And flicker out one of the untapped snow-covered islands. Alright, this is definitely staying at 3. Plains. Equip. Attack. Come on, 3-drop. Ballista, interesting. Could play Ballista on 1. I don't mind Ballista on 1, and then tapping down the plains and upkeep just to have 2 creatures. Tundra, okay. Well, that's a white source. Swords on Flickerwisp, okay. Always no. Vial. Probably happy just going for equip on Ballista, attack with Ballista, deal to them. If we draw a land, it's actually quite nice because we get to double port and Tundra. But maybe here just Revoker's better than the second port? I don't mind a Revoker here. Just to keep having two creatures on board. It also means we nearly have lethal on board next turn. Even like a Snapcaster Mage, we can ping it with Walking Ballista and it's still a 2-2. I'm going to take out a Wisp on the draw and bring in a Swords to Plowshares. Just because of that Containment Priest, I think that Wisp is a little bit worse without Aether Vial online, and I really want just to know that I have a Swords in the deck. Is pretty nice. Would I keep this at a competitive tournament? I don't believe I would. However, no. As good as Aether Vial is, I really don't want the third. Sometimes the second is nice if the first one gets countered, but I'd rather much just have... I'd much rather just have creatures. This Gideon's pretty dead as well, unless we draw just 4 lands in a row, which I don't really want with the 3 vials, so... I apologize, Goat. I'm not going to do it. We're going to mulligan this. This isn't great either. There is definitely merit to keeping a no white source hand, but it's tough. Should have kept. I don't mind going to 5 if it's going to be a nice 5. And this is a really nice 5. We'll definitely keep this. So I'm going to bottom the Palace Jailer and a Flickerwisp. Now we have removal, we have a turn 1 Vial and a turn 2 Thalia, which is kind of nice. Shiramuni, thank you very much for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. Other Plains is actually really nice there. Looks like my opponent's forcing this. Okay. Oh, they also mulliganed. 1, 2, 3, 6. Just once. Okay. Oh, hitting this trop seems pretty fantastic. Which I don't mind doing. I'll do it in their upkeep as well. We had a Port Triple Vial hand. I would not have snap kept. Oof. Probably put a should have played either Karakas or Port there, because then next turn we can have Karakas up and Port my opponent. So now I don't mind just keeping on pressure. Yeah, I don't think we saw the... We haven't seen the green yet, I believe. Oh, I think they thought they could cast a 1-mana spell, which is pretty rough for them, because now this Rishadan Port's going to be really good. This is a pretty nice lock. Okay. Recruiter. I don't mind Prelate. I think Prelate's pretty nice here. But still keeping on the pressure now. Porting them down their turn, and then if we get one more turn we can just... Well, attack for lethal, I guess. I could cast the Prelate, but if they flip Terminus, then it's pretty rough. Nice. So unfortunately it was a 2-3, but yeah, the list felt pretty solid. If anything, I just want to add a few more lands. I don't think that 22 lands is enough. Definitely wanted to run that 23rd or 24th land. But that is me. A huge thank you to you guys that came in and followed and watched. My name is Dukes on Twitch. I'll be back on Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I also stream on Sunday mornings at around 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. You can catch me on Twitter at Dukes on Twitch on Twitter. You can catch all my videos on Dukes on Twitch, YouTube/C/Dukes on Twitch. I'm gonna see if there's anyone actually playing right now. The Legacy Pit. Nice. The Legacy Pit are pretty good people. Really good Legacy content. But a huge thank you for you guys coming in. Goblin Lucky, Goat, Jesus Hugh, Jack, of course. Jack, if you're still after some foil Flickerwisps from Eventide, you should check out the MTG Australia Facebook page. Enjoy your weekends, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.